Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of the Mindful in Minutes podcast. Today, we are going to do something that I'm looking forward to. It's actually been inspired by my own personal life and just what life feels like right now. And that is 10 different ways to instantly feel better. So, a little bit of context, there's nothing that serious going on in my life right now. But just some of those days, and I think what's happening right now is baby Poppy, we love her. I think there's just, for anyone who's had kids, I imagine maybe you've had a similar experience, but there's a certain point in kind of the baby stage in which you're so tired and like for me, it's usually around the 6-month mark where it's like you're not in the newborn stage. And I do like the newborn stage. I know not everyone feels that way. I love the newborn stage, even though I'm up all the time. It's like they're just so little and precious. And, at 6 months, you've hit a little bit of a routine, but also you're still kind of doing the baby stuff. And for me, that's where I think some of the true fatigue kind of kicks in, where it's like, now I've been doing this for 6 months, just pouring everything that I have into the survival of this tiny little thing that I love so much. But it's always around kind of the 6-month mark where sometimes I get into just a little bit of a slumper. This is just I was really reflecting on this last night because I was in a little bit of a mood. I was a little bit of a grump. I had to send a voice note to one of my besties and say, I need a pep talk. It's literally what I said. I was laying there and I was like, I just need a pep talk from my bestie because I'm just in a little bit of a slump. And I don't know, that's just where I was at. And like I said, there's nothing necessarily that I can pinpoint that's tough. But I think it's just a lot of just burnout in a way. And I recognize that you can be burnt out in different ways. So for me, I think it's feeling a little bit like parental burnout, which is a very real thing. There's been times where I have been burnt out on work. That is certainly not the case right now. You guys know it's like every time I sit in this little closet and hit record and get to create an episode and share something with you that's so fun and exciting. And I just love it. It's my little break. So it's definitely not work burnout. I think it's just kind of general new parent burnout. And we all kind of hit that stage, especially as you guys know, I currently work part-time. So Yoga for You, Mindful in Minutes, I work part-time and then I'm really kind of the default parent the other part of the time. And it's just an interesting thing. It's there's so many special, beautiful moments, but then I think also when you do anything for so long, around the clock, that it also, not that it gets old, but that it wears you down a little bit, whether that is being a parent or a caregiver, or if you're having a really busy season in work or school or anything like that. There's definitely, it's just when you do anything that for a long time, you can get burnt out. So I say all of this for basically because I sort of had a different topic that I wanted to explore, and we'll do that one later. It's not really time sensitive at all. And I wanted to share some of the ways, because I was really reflecting on this last night on okay, how in these moments when I'm feeling just a little bit run down, because meditation teachers get run down too. How do I return to center? What are those little things that you can do in the moment? Easy, quick, free, simple things when you're really busy. Maybe you're feeling burnt out and overwhelmed that just instantly make you feel better. Basically, what are these little moments of mindfulness that we can create for ourselves in our everyday tasks or our everyday moments that just make us feel better? Because that's when I was doing my reflection on why I'm in a little bit of a mood, why am I feeling this way? That's what I was reflecting on, was okay, I'm not able to do a full overhaul. Nothing's going to change right now. I'm still so needed by my children, but also, pouring so much into my work at the same time. Neither of those things will change. So how can I continue to ground myself and find my center and find these little things, these little moments that just instantly make me feel better. And I think that when it comes to like burnout and just like fatigue, also, you guys know if you listen to Sunday's episode, pork chop brought in, isn't it always, again, my parents, I'm sure you know this, but it's like the toddler comes in and brings like some mystery illness in, and then it slowly just moves through the whole family like the plague. And it's just that like toddler illness is just next level. But maybe that's a piece of it too, is like we were pretty sick for a while. And so, still rebounding. But for me, I think it's very much, at least in this season of my life, and I know from a lot of you, because the second thing I wanted to talk about at the top of the episode was I was blown away. It made me feel like happy and sad at the same time. It must have been the last freeform episode where I started the episode and I don't remember what I said, but I said something like, how are you? I asked how you were. And so many of you sent me an email, and so many, I mean like 5 to 10 of you, which for me, that's like a lot. 5 to 10 of you sent me an email or a DM saying that you appreciated me asking how you were doing and inviting you all to just like check in with yourselves for a moment. And so many of you said like, no one does that for me. And that made me feel happy that I could hold that space for you, but also sad that no one's doing that for you guys. And it made me really reflect where I was like, oh my gosh, like, do other people do that for me? And I am very fortunate. I have like this really beautiful, supportive like friend group. My family's great. I also create this little daily ritual where I try to check in with myself every day. This is kind of where I did my brainstorming last night, where I was like, okay, like Kelly, you're in a mood, like pause button, check in. How are you doing? How are you feeling? What's going on? And I have to do that for myself. So I don't always pay attention as to whether or not other people are doing it, because I try to make a note to do it for myself every day. But I just wanted to hold space for those of you where either if you aren't checking in with yourself every day, maybe that's something that you could do. I find it to be really helpful. It's very much something, I think I've done an episode on this. I think it's called like How to Be Alone But Not Lonely. It's one of these little things that like I can do to check in with myself, and it makes it so even if I'm alone, I don't feel lonely. But also, checking in with one another and just creating that space. So how are you doing? If you need an opportunity, if you want to pause me for a second, how are you doing? There is no right or wrong answer. I hope you're doing well. But as life ebbs and flows, there could be any answer to that question. So I'm happy to hold space for you too. So how are you doing? I hope you're doing well. I really do. But yeah, also inviting you to maybe just every day. I like to do it either at the beginning of the day or the end of the day, and then just really hit that pause button and be like, how am I doing? And honestly, a lot of the time I'm doing great and I'm doing well. But then there's just some days where you're like, I don't know, I'm just like in a funk, I'm in a mood, or this is going on. Like, there are just some things that I was just kind of like, little like buzzkill moments or things, or like emails that come through that's just like, and I'm so lucky and so fortunate that like, I mean, every day I just like pinch myself and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like my career. And I can't believe that I just get to like share what I love every single day. Well, not every single day, because you guys know I work part-time, which is also something I'm so grateful for. Like I get to share what I love part-time and be a mom for my kids, and also be able to pour my heart into this career that I find to be so wonderful and fulfilling for me. So when I say there's like things behind the scenes, which is like just usually like kind of like admin stuff, it's always like kind of silly things. Like that's still, just like one grain of sand on like the beach of amazing that I have in my life. But just like, some of those things where I was like, now I need to, deal with this. But anyways, I was just in a mood and I was like, okay, I did my check-in. I was like, what is going on? And I think I pinpointed that I'm just feeling a little bit tired and burnt out on just doing a lot of the same, being like in baby mom mode for so long. And I had to remind myself that in these moments that an overhaul, like a life overhaul, is unrealistic. Like being able to carve out X amount of time every single day just to focus on me is unrealistic. But doing these small little things that add up throughout the day to just make myself kind of instantly feel better in those moments end up making a huge impact in my life. And so I wanted to share that with all of you, because if you're in a funk, or even if you're feeling like good, I want you to feel great. Like, I want you to be happy. I want you to feel great. And I brainstormed a little list. The episode is called 10 Things to Make Yourself Instantly Feel Better. However, I kept brainstorming. There's more like 14 things, but some of them are kind of related to one another. And I thought, why don't we just dive into it? And I'm going to share how we can take these tiny little moments every day and make them like a little mindfulness oasis to make ourselves feel better. Sound good? Also, thank you for letting me speak so openly to all of you about what's happening in my life. If I am being frank and transparent, I really don't care what people think that much, like at all. That's like just one thing that I've really done a lot of work on, and just letting this podcast be something that's like from my heart and all of that. But if there's one thing that sometimes I feel insecure about, and I think sometimes with our insecurities, it's like the thing that we feel the most insecure about, or that we worry about, or we think, oh, what are people thinking? It's like usually not that, it's not a big deal to anyone, like except for you. But if I have one insecurity, I have a couple. Oh, we all have our insecurities. But if I have one about this podcast, or like what I do for work, just between us, I think that I know that what it is sometimes I worry that I am like not like zen enough as a meditation teacher. And what I mean by that is I think that often people have an idea in their mind as to what a meditation teacher should look like, or someone who leads meditations. And that is someone that like never experiences stress, or never, just basically lives in this like meditative state all the time. And that is one, I don't think that's actually accurate. Having met a lot of other people in this same field and industry, I know that that's not like how they all are. But for example, like you guys know I love John Kabat-Zinn's Masterclass. And I like, even when I hear him talk, or like when I look at, I don't know if it was a set or his home, wherever they were, it was like beautiful and zen and like calm and everything. And I was just like, oh my gosh, John Kabat-Zinn has this like just beautiful zen home. And I think sometimes I get insecure because I'm like, I have clutter in my house. I get in bad moods sometimes. I get fatigued from being a parent sometimes and being the default parent. I meditate for 10 to 15 minutes every day, where I used to meditate for 30, but I just, I don't have the space for that right now. And so I'm letting my practice fit my life instead of, trying to change my life just to fit in this practice. And I think it's one of the things that I am equally the most insecure about, but also the most proud about at the same time, because what I created Mindful in Minutes as a way to share short, grounded, guided meditations rooted in like everyday stuff that we're dealing with. And I never want to come across as something that I'm not. And I am not this perfect zen, never have issues, never get tired, never be frustrated, like have human emotions person. And I love using meditation as a way, like it has changed my life so much. And I am really proud of the person that I've become over the last even 10 years. And so much of that I attribute to yoga, but also like mostly to meditation and learning how to practice intentional introspection. And every once in a while when I share like, oh, I'm in a mood, or, I'm grumpy, I'm like, oh, what if people think that somehow that makes me like worse at what I do? And this is just me being like really honest with you guys. But I also feel really pulled to share that, because I think for so many people, when it comes to meditation and mindfulness and introspection, and like even what we're going to talk about today, like just feeling better, we think it needs to be this like certain picture of, this is what someone who practices meditation and mindfulness is like, or like, this is what a mom looks like who also meditates. Like, my house has clutter in it. I sometimes get frustrated and need to take a minute because, my kids are just, I'm really overstimulated or something like that. Sometimes I just am so in love with my kids that it like brings me to tears. I don't know. It's like, I am so very much like a human person, and all of you are beautiful human people. And I want this podcast. It's what I've wanted it to be for the last almost 7 years at this point. And what I want it to continue to be is a place where we can all show up and be human and use simple, short meditation, like grounded meditation practices to help us navigate our everyday stuff. We don't need to, you absolutely can do this if you want, but you don't need to meditate for an hour, try to, go to a different planet via meditation or anything like that. Again, you can do that. I dabble in that. I think it's really fun, but that's not what I want here. I want this to be a place where we can all just show up, and I'm happy to share what I have learned through my learning and my practice and all of that, share it with all of you, and always be really open and upfront with what's going on in my life, because so much of what happens in my life is what really inspires the freeform episodes, but also the guided meditations, because I can only share what I know. So with all of that said, I forgot. Oh my gosh, look at me, 16 minutes in. I forgot the most exciting part. Guys, retreats are back. I was so in let me just share my biggest, deepest, darkest, shadowy insecurity with all of you right now. I am going to do, I think, one retreat in 2024, and I think one retreat in 2025. If you know you want to go on a retreat with me this year or next year, I'll put the link in the show notes. Get on the wait list. The wait list, I'm not going to lie, it's big. There's 500 people on it. I cannot accommodate 500 people. So make sure you're on that list, because waitlist will be invited first. And then if any spots remain, I'll share them publicly. So I'll put that information in the show notes. Okay. Now that we are nearly 20 minutes in, I think that it is time to talk about these small, simple ways that we can help feel better instantly, return to ourselves, be in the moment, and just feel better. Number 1, ground yourself in the moment and connect with one of your senses. What I mean by this is when you are in a weird headspace, you're in your head, whether it's kind of those swirling thoughts, spiraling thoughts, you're in mentally just kind of a funk, and you're like, you're just in your head and you need to get out. You're going to ground yourself in the moment by connecting with just one of your senses. So you're going to say, what do I feel right now? And you're going to name all the things that you feel, or you're going to look around and you're going to say, what is one beautiful thing that I see right now? Like this morning, I was doing this, even brainstorming this last night. Like I found myself doing these little things this morning. I was like, I feel like so much better already. And I was walking out. I'd gotten the kids, I didn't wake them up. Let's be real. They woke me up at like the crack of dawn. And I, brought them out, got them all ready. We were going to go play. And I just looked around and I noticed all of the places that the sunlight was shining through the window on the floor, on like the hardwood floor. And it was just really beautiful. It was like this special little beautiful display of light in the morning. And that just instantly just connect with one of your senses. What do I see? What's something beautiful that I see right now? What do I feel in my body? What sounds am I hearing right now? And that will instantly get you out of your head, bring you into your body, into the moment, and you will feel better, even just for a split second. It'll stop. It'll hit that pause button for you. Number 2 is going to be water. Now, I saw this on the internet somewhere where someone said, water always makes you feel better. Either drink water, cry, or take a shower. I don't always find crying to make me instantly feel better. So we're going to take that one off the list. However, 2 things that I find to be really useful when it comes to water and making me instantly feel better. 1, drinking water, like a good glass of water. I know not everyone's like into water, but I find just like it feels really cleansing. It just feels really good. Hits that reset button. I just like go drink some water. It'll help. The second thing is a shower. Now, I like to specifically do this shower meditation. I did it last night after I was in my funk. It's actually what kind of was like, I need to, brainstorm these things, put them in a list, share them with all of you. I turn on the shower. Whatever it is that is bugging me, or it's just like a long day or whatever I'm ready to release, I just kind of set the intention. I'm going to wash away the day behind me, or I'm going to release this or the feelings of that, whatever it is. And I step into the shower and I just imagine as the water's pouring over me that it is washing away the gunk. It is washing away the day. It is washing away the feelings, the stress, the burnout, whatever it is, whatever the thing is that you're like, okay, this needs to go for a little bit. And just even for 5 minutes, I just hop in the shower and I imagine that water is just so purifying and it just washes away all of that gunk. It goes down the drain. It's gone. You will instantly feel better. You could also do this in the bath if you want. We're taking the quickest of pauses, and I want to tell you that this show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Do you know what else makes you instantly feel better? That would be therapy. That would be talking to your therapist, especially getting something off of your chest, like whether it's big or small. There's something about just talking to your therapist, getting something off of your chest and not keeping it bottled up, where you do instantly feel better. So though that's not an official thing on this list, it definitely should be on the list. Therapy can make you feel better instantly. This is something that I find to be so helpful. Like when I just talk to my therapist, I'm like, here's what's going on. Sometimes I have to get something off of my chest because it helps me to just let it go, and then I can release it and move on from it. And I never, when I keep something bottled up and I sit and I stew on it, it never does me any good. And therapy is such a good, safe space to be able to get something off of your chest if you're trying to figure something out, or maybe something is weighing you down. This can be extremely beneficial. So if you're thinking of starting therapy, I highly recommend you give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. You just fill out a brief questionnaire and get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. So get it off your chest with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/minutes today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/minutes. Also, may I recommend that when you are taking that purifying, cleansing shower that I just talked about to help release negativity from the day, may I recommend that you stock that shower filled with Prose. Now, you may be skeptical about custom beauty because I feel like my feed was just flooded with customize this, customize that, right? And they all promise to fix whatever issue I was having with my hair, which, you know what, right now is, for some reason, my scalp is just really dry. Maybe that's TMI, but I've really been struggling with it. I don't know if it's a postpartum thing or what. And so all of these customized things said they were going to fix my problem. However, when Prose says custom, they actually mean it. I am serious. It is no gimmick. And this formula that I have, it's just for me. Each and every bottle of Prose custom hair, and they also make skincare, is made to order and is personalized. So it has a unique blend of naturally powerful and proven effective ingredients to meet your needs. And their in-depth consultation analyzes over 80 factors for complete view of your life and beauty goals. It even asked what my zip code was so that it could figure out what kind of water I had in that area and if that was contributing to my hair and my scalp. They get personal. Prose covers everything from concerns to diet, exercise, stress levels, whatever it is that could be impacting your hair and your skin health. Then they recommend this full routine of truly personalized products. And they only recommended these after I placed my order. So nothing was pre-mixed, nothing was off the shelf. It was just truly one-of-a-kind formula just for me. And so in my little routine, I have this pre-shampoo scalp mask, and it feels so good. And honestly, it is helping my scalp so much. I feel like I have so much relief from my itchy scalp, and it looks better than it ever has. And I'm just so happy with it. And because of my scalp concerns, they put in this scalp mask, and then I shampoo and condition. And I do love the shampoo and conditioner too. And I feel like my hair is just looking so much better. But don't just take my word for it, although my hair is looking phenomenal. In a third-party, double-blind, dermatologist-supervised controlled clinical study, basically the gold standard in research, Prose proved that personalization works better than off-the-shelves alternatives. Prose is so confident that you'll love your results, and I am too, that they're offering my listeners an exclusive trial offer so you can see the different custom care can make. 50% off your first subscription order at prose.com/mindful. That's prose.com/mindful for your free consultation and 50% off your one-of-a-kind formulas. Prose.com/mindful. Okay, moving on. I really do believe that like cleansing shower is so helpful. I always feel better after that. Another thing is going to be even 5 minutes of loving kindness meditation. You heard me talk about this in the Loving Kindness Meditation 101 episode, but this practice truly does just make you feel better. Like you cannot sit there and activate those feelings of loving kindness and then send them to yourselves or to yourself and to others and not feel better. I think of this as like my instant mood boosting meditation practice. It really does help, even if it's just a quick activate loving kindness, send it to myself, send it to someone I care about. It could be that simple. Like there are times where I sit there, I just activate it, send it to myself, and then I send it to everyone in my house, which is my husband, Mila, and my kids usually. And it really, really does help. And I want to say that 5 minutes of meditation does always make you feel better. And I do believe that with like a little asterisk. So I think that like no one ever regrets their meditation. It's kind of like, no one regrets like moving their body for a few minutes. You're like, oh my gosh, I feel so much worse because I did this thing that like, is good for my body. Like no one is ever like, oh, dang, I meditated today. Like I'm feeling so much worse. But what I will say is when we're thinking about when we're in kind of those slumpers or like we're in our head specifically, that I do think that sometimes meditation, like really introspective or like thought-based practices won't always make you feel better necessarily instantly. And that's what all these tips are about is like, what's going to make me feel better instantly. I find it's the practices that have to do with my heart and like with my body that do make me feel better instantly. Because usually when I'm in a funk, it has to do with like my headspace or my mindset or the thoughts that I'm having. And so loving kindness meditation, like a 5-minute body scan or 5 minutes of like breath work to get like that kind of somatic practice to get into my body. Like that really helps me to feel better instantly. So if you're wanting to use meditation, I would recommend like those 3 things. Affirmations sometimes and mantras are really great too. Another thing is seeking beauty in something small. So this could be like this morning I was walking out and I was like, oh my gosh, like look, the sun is shining, making this really beautiful pattern on the hardwood floor in my living room. It could be looking out your window. It could be looking at a plant. Right now we have my mom who was like just, Mama Smith, we love her, like A++, Mama Smith Grammy. She was a kindergarten teacher for so many years, and now she has retired to be professional grandma, which is amazing. We love that for her. She did this cute little project with pork chop where you basically take like beans. I don't even know what kind of beans. She did it. She did like this whole like lesson plan. I was just like, Mom, you were like built for this. And you take like a Ziploc bag. And I don't know, any parents out there, like file this one away because it's kind of genius. Great thing to do with your kids. So she got these beans. I think they're just like green bean, actual like beans. And you get a paper towel, put some water in it. You get like a sandwich Ziploc bag. And then you put the wet paper towel, you fold it up a few times, put it in, and then you put like 3 beans on the wet paper towel, close up the Ziploc, and you hang it in your window. And then you can see the plant or the bean like beginning to sprout, and then it will grow, it gets like some roots. You basically can like watch the sprouting process of like a seed or this is a bean, like in real life. And then every morning we can get up and we can go and be like, oh my gosh, I wonder if the bean got bigger last night. And finding beauty in like these little things. Like I really look to my kids sometimes, especially Pork Chop. He's like at such a curious age. But he has taught me so much about like looking at the little things and being so excited about it and finding beauty in small things. And so we'll go and we'll look and it's almost big enough to plant because there's like little roots and now it has like a little shoot coming out. But be like, oh, I think it got taller overnight, or look at how the roots kind of lay and, are reaching towards the bottom of the Ziploc bag. It's just really interesting. And like you instantly feel better. If you find a little bit of beauty, and all these things sound so simple because they are so simple. They're so small, but yet so powerful. Finding beauty in something Is there like, do you have a favorite coffee mug and you use that mug every morning, but like you never stop and look at like the color of it, or like maybe it has like a phrase on it or something, or maybe you usually go for a walk, but you have your headphones in. Like, what if you take out your headphones and you just listen? Like, try to find something beautiful in something small that you usually would just pass by in your day. It will make you feel better. Next is a really simple breath. So it is a full inhale, hold it for a minute, and then a full exhale out. So this for me is when I'm feeling like really overwhelmed, or I'm like feeling like heightened emotions or something, and I need that pause button. I breathe in, like all the way, fill up all the way, hold for a second, and then just let it go. And I'll do this like maybe 3 times. So quick, so easy, you will feel better. So inhale, filling up all the way, just fill up everything, hold for just a moment, like feel that retention of breath for a moment, and then just let it all go. You'll feel better. I love this one. Also, I love to do this one with my kids or with kids in general. Like when I do kids mindfulness classes, sometimes we do that. We imagine that we're like inhaling, getting ready to fill up a balloon, hold for a second, and then like, wow, let it all go. It works. It is like an instant kind of not only mind quieter, but like feeling reliever in a way. It's so quick and easy. Do that like 3 times. You will feel better. Another thing, go do something. This one's slightly more involved. I think this is like the most involved one out of the whole list, and it's still pretty simple. Do something that you used to enjoy, but you don't do anymore for whatever reason. Maybe it's picking up a book and reading for a few minutes. Maybe it's going to see a movie. Maybe you used to go see movies all the time, and you're like, I don't know, I'm an adult, or I don't have anyone to see a movie with, so I don't go. Just go to the movies. Go do it. I think this is the only thing that potentially could cost you money in this whole list. Listen to like one of your favorite albums from like your teenage years or something. This one I did recently the other day on accident, and it did make me feel better. I was trying to get, and I realize all of these examples that I'm sharing with you, this is just solidifying the fact that like I have been spending so much time in mom mode that I do think it contributed to my funk last night, because it's like I also exist as a human being outside of being a parent, but so much of what I like 80% of my life is mom mode, and then there's like 20% of my life where I get to like do like work mode. Anyways, so this is another kid, little pork chop anecdote. So I apologize that this isn't super relevant for those of you listening that don't have kids, but I was trying to get pork chop out the door. Those of you that do have kids, it takes like a minimum of like 5 hours to just get out the door. And there used to be a day where I'd just be like, oh, it's time to leave. And I would just get up, I'd put on my shoes, grab my wallet and walk out the door. Those days are long behind me. And this is also going to age me, but I was trying to like be upbeat and positive, even though on the inside I was like slowly dying, being like, we have been trying to get out the door for 5,000 hours. Can we just walk out the door, kids? And I sang that like in sync song. Here we go. Here we go. Not a singer, meditation teacher. You know it. You guys know it. If you're in your 30s like me, you know it. But anyways, so I was singing that little here we go, like the opening line to it. And then pork chop was like really into it. And then we had to listen to that song. And so then we were listening to like NSYNC's like original album in the car. We were trying to get to my mom's house for Easter or something like that. And he just found so much joy and delight in that song. And I was listening to it and I was like, when was the last time that I listened to NSYNC's like original album from whatever, like 1998. And I was like, this is just fun. And I enjoy it. And it just made me feel better. And so it made the list, because maybe there's something that you used to do or you used to listen to, whether it was like a year ago or, for me, 1998 was, I was 8 years old. It was a long time ago, that you used to do. And you're like, it was fun then. So do it again now and it'll feel good now. I promise you. That one will, make you feel better. Another one is going to be getting your feet on something organic. I don't know what it is. I do know that like the practice of grounding, when you go outside and like bare feet, you step on like the ground, you stand in the grass, like there is kind of that like negative charge in the earth. Like there are actual like scientific benefits of this that show that people feel better with doing this. I find that just bare feet on anything organic helps. So that could be hardwood floor, that could be going outside in the grass, depending what season it is. It can be like putting your feet on like your dog. Now, maybe I can only do this because Mila is huge. I always laugh because people who just listen to the podcast and don't follow me on Instagram and have never seen Mila, they think she's like little. She's huge. She's a Newfoundland, so she's like 120 pounds. She's huge. So I can like sit there and she can lay, by the couch if I'm working at the couch, and I can just kind of like rest my feet like on her or next to her, like in her fur. And there's just something about like, just get your feet bare, like stand on something organic. And it's that instant grounding effect. And it does help, especially when you're feeling that overwhelm. It slows you down just for a moment to like, just ground. The next thing is going to be a mindfulness walk with no devices. Like obviously bring a phone with you for safety purposes if need be. No headphones and nothing. Like this could be a one walk around the block mindfulness walk. A mindfulness walk is where you just enjoy the sensation of walking and you take in your surrounding through all of your senses. So no headphones in, no phone calls. We're not looking at anything. We're on our phones, we're just walking and we're taking in nature and we're listening to the sounds. We're breathing the fresh air. Again, one trip around the block, you will feel better. A mindfulness walk always improves things. Now, writing a love list and a gratitude list. I like to do both. So maybe you take your piece of paper and divide it in half and label 1 through 3 on either side. On the left-hand side, write 3 things that you love right now. This can be anything. There's no right or wrong answer to this. It could be people, things, places, anything. 3 things that you love. And then the other side, 3 things that you're grateful for. Because yes, there could potentially be overlap, but I find that different things come up when I think like, what do I love right now? That isn't always necessarily the first thing that I think of when I think, what am I grateful for right now? And I just find that these 2 things, just 3 things that you love, 3 things that you're grateful for, it just helps. It's a mood booster. The next thing is going to be look at sunlight or moonlight. There is something so therapeutic and lovely and nourishing about like either stepping outside in the sunlight, like let the sun touch your face for a minute, looking at the sun, feeling the sun, but also on the flip side, the moonlight, like seeing how the moonlight comes in through your windows or looking at the moon. You can even do like moon bathing, which is basically like sunbathing, but in the moonlight where you go out and let the moon kind of, be on your skin. There's just something about enjoying the beauty and the experience of being in sunlight or being in moonlight that will make you feel better. It will bring you into the present moment. It will slow you down. It will make you appreciate these beautiful big balls of light energy that we have all day long and then all night long. This kind of goes hand in hand with like the fine beauty and like small, simple things. Like how many times you just like blast through the night or go to bed and you don't acknowledge the moon or, all day long, you don't really just like feel the sun on your skin. You could also apply this to like a sunrise or a sunset if you're able to catch either of those. But there's just something magical and grounding and uplifting about sunlight and moonlight. All right. Another thing is you're going to think about or write down one thing that you're doing now that is just commonplace that used to only be a dream of yours. So for example, a couple of things. Actually, so many things. This is one of my favorite exercises in general. I almost like this better than just a gratitude practice. It's like, what are the things that I used to just like dream of that are now just commonplace? For me, one of the things I think about instantly is my email inbox. When I first started Yoga for You, like I would just like email people. Like there was no action in my email inbox because it was a brand new business. Like no one knew it existed. No one knew who I was. No one knew what I was doing. And like now sometimes I log in the mornings when I'm working and maybe it's been a few days and I'm like, oh my gosh, look at all these emails. And like I used to just like dream of like, I just used to like dream of like people knowing that this was a business that I had and just any kind of action in my business inbox. And now there's so much. And like, that's really special for me. Or like, I used to just like dream of being a mom. And now like, even if my kids are kind of driving me nuts in the morning, it takes us 5 hours to get out. Like I used to just like dream of being a mom. And now it's like this thing that I've done twice. And it's like amazing and it's really special. Or like I used to dream of building a business that allowed me to work part-time and still be able to financially contribute to my household. Like not only did I want any action in my business, I wanted so much action in my business that then I went from working full-time. That was like goal number one, like let this be my full-time thing. And then once it's my full-time thing and it's become abundant, that then I can then choose to scale back and still be able to financially contribute to my family. And like that is my reality right now. And when I reflect on these small things that, I used to just dream up. Like I used to dream of having a house one day. And like now sometimes I'm like, we have this woodpecker that's like always pecking. We have like wood panels on the outside of our house, and this woodpecker is always pecking on the outside of our house. But I'm like, I used to just like dream of being a homeowner, and now I'm like, and that dang woodpecker like pecking away at my house or whatever. It's like I have a house. Like, oh my gosh, like I used to just always dream of like having my first little starter home, and now I'm like in my starter home with a business and children. And like, I don't know, there's something about thinking, even if it's just one thing, what is something that is just part of my everyday life now that I used to only dream of? You will instantly feel better if you do that because it is so amazing. You're like, wow, like I did that. I'm doing it. I used to only dream of it and now I'm living it. It feels so good. Okay, we have 3 more things here just in my little notes app notes. One is do one thing for your future self to make them happy. I saw this thing, Josie Santi of the Every Girl podcast. She works at the Every Girl. She's also a friend of mine. She's been on retreats. She came to Portugal. She's just like a gem. True gem of a human. She posted something on Instagram a couple weeks ago and it really stuck with me. And she said that basically how we think of our future selves as strangers, like that we don't know them. So we don't do a lot of things to help like support them. Not like we would want to support or do something to feel better like in the moment for our present selves. But when we shift our mindset and we think about our future selves as someone that like we love and, like a friend and how we'd want to do something like nice and thoughtful for our future selves, like that really stuck with me. And so I've been trying to do small things for my future self. So that could be like, she was kind of making the point of like, maybe that is starting to save now if you're in your 20s. Like if you started saving at 20, right? When your 40-year-old self will be like, oh my gosh, like thank you past self for saving when I was 20 instead of starting when I was 35 or whatever. For me, that looks like, at the end of the day, I'm tired. There's toys around. But like for my future self, for my tomorrow morning self, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to pick up these things so that my tomorrow morning self doesn't have to wake up overstimulated. Or I'm going to meal prep on Sundays so that my Monday through Friday self isn't then feeling flustered and like not supported and nourished by my food because I didn't take the time to like prep it beforehand. So doing one thing today that's going to make your future self, and that could be your future self for like later in the day, later in the week, or like 50 years from now. Think about your future self as someone that is a friend and that you care deeply for. And so do something nice with your present self for your future self. And it just feels really good. The next one is going to be play hooky on something. This one always feels good. The other day I was working and I was going to meet a friend. I had like a little event, an opening of something here locally. And I was really looking forward to just this event and like getting out of the house and like seeing this friend. It's my new friend if you guys have been following. It's the new friend I'm trying to make. It was our second date. But anyways, my new friend. And I was just like, hey, I just like texted her and we both kind of work from home on this particular day. And I was like, hey, I know our thing is at 4, but like, do you want to meet 1 hour earlier and like get a snack? It's like, you want to like get a snack and then go to the thing and just like chat? Like you want, and I played it as, you want to play hooky on our last hour of work and just go 1 hour early so we can hang out before this event. And she was like, absolutely, I'm there. And like, it was just so fun. We just like, I can't do this all the time, but I was like, I just played hooky on like my last hour of work and just went and did something fun. And it felt really good. Like that was like an instant like mood booster. We got some like chips and guac And like I had like one little half of a cocktail. I don't really drink. I just like sipped a little bit on one and then had these delicious crunchy little chips with some guac. And like we just chatted and caught up. Instant mood booster is great. And the last one is, this is like the last addition, because I think this is one I had the most resistance to, is clean one small area of your space. Now, this one is kind of specific to like me or anyone that has like clutter issues like I do. That's very much where my ADHD shows up, is like just there's a lot of clutter in my house and it's like this push-pull. Like I hate the clutter, but also then I get paralyzed of like being able to like tackle it. There's something about just like cleaning off the counter and like wiping it down. Or like if there's that pile of mail sitting on the table, like just going through it, like cleaning it off. Putting, if there's things that have accumulated on my bathroom counter or something, just putting them where they go and just like wiping down the counter, like one small little area, just like clean that little area. You don't have to clean the whole house, just like one little thing, one like surface. Clean it. Don't just move it. Clean it, put it away, wipe it down. You will feel better. And then often I'm like, oh, maybe I'll clean this one too, and then that one. And, like there's just something, like your space just feels so much more open and airy and spacious. And you feel like you accomplished a little thing. And I feel like it gets you out of your headspace, your slump, if you're just like, okay, this one kind of plays off the do something for your future self. Because then yourself, and like an hour later, is not going to have to walk by that little pile of clutter on your coffee table or whatever. It's going to walk by and be like, oh my gosh, that coffee table, it looks clean. It's organized. I love it. And you're making this nice little like visual experience for your future self. I just find that like cleaning just one little area just makes you feel better. So those are my thoughts. That was my little brainstorm list. Pick one or two of these, give them a try, and you don't have to be in a funky headspace to do this. Like I said, like if you're feeling good, I don't want you to just feel good. I want you to feel great. So do one of these, and then maybe you'll feel good, and then you'll do it and you'll feel great, or you'll feel from great to amazing. Or maybe you're like me and you're just kind of in a slumper and you're feeling like from mediocre to like pretty good. So yeah, that's it. I'll put the link, I'm going to try my best to remember, where you can join the retreat waitlist. I'm really excited. I already know what the retreats are. I can't tell you yet. I know the themes. I'm really excited about the themes. I know the location. I'll give you a clue. We're returning to one place and the other place is totally new. Oh, I'm so excited. And thank you again for just being here, for letting me create this space, sharing what I love, being able to share so openly with you. And also for all of you sharing so openly with me. Like I said, I want this to be a space where we can just show up as we are and just allow mindfulness and meditation to just make this little improvement in our life and support us how we are, where we are in our lives right now. And of course, if you love this episode, if you'd be willing to leave me a little 5-star review or rating, it would mean the world to me. And also sharing this with a friend would mean the world to me too. If there's someone that you think would enjoy this, if you could send it their way, I'd appreciate it. And I hope you are doing well and that you have a wonderful day and that you do one of these things and you feel a little bit better. Okay, bye.